It's essential that your smart home has a good Wi-Fi network. Not only is it critical for your smart home devices communicating inside your network, but it's also important for controlling your smart home while you're away and for devices in your home to get notifications out to you while you're away. But there are a bewildering number of options that can quickly get confusing, and you can easily end up with a system that's not right for your home. In this video, I'm gonna walk through various setups and price points for Wi-Fi, as well as features that are worth your attention. Stay tuned to the end where I'll talk about the Wi-Fi I use in my home, and thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. More on them in a minute. You might have already noticed there are all kinds of wireless standards, but is Wi-Fi 6E worth the added costs over Wi-Fi 6? And what about Wi-Fi 7? Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7 enable faster speeds for newer computers, tablets, and phones that support it. But if your internet connection is less than 1,000 megabits per second, you really only see these benefits inside your network, like using a network-attached storage device for video files or Apple Time Machine backups. Depending on your setup, if you get a mesh network, the wirelessly connected mesh endpoints can also use these faster channels as what's called a backhaul to move data to the main mesh access point. Most smart home tech, though, still operates at 2.4 gigahertz, and that's in part because this frequency does a better job traveling further distances than 5 gigahertz or 6 gigahertz. Newer standards, though, will enable your computers and other devices that support the new standards to stop using 2.4 gigahertz. This frees up more of the 2.4 gigahertz capacity to focus on your smart home devices. Now, good software is just as important as the radio hardware. You might find companies marketing lots of features for low prices, but managing the network over time will be terrible on a buggy app or website. You want a company that has a decent iPhone app or web portal so you can manage your network. Let's get to some specific scenarios and products to look for, along with a tip that will save you a lot of time with setup. But first, thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. All the apps and services on our modern devices send lots of information over the network, and even though it's HTTPS, companies can still make lots of conclusions about you just by seeing your device activity on their network. Not to mention, hackers use this information as well. As a software developer myself, I see these potential threats firsthand, and I wanted to protect my own data, especially while traveling. That's why I've been paying for Surfshark as my VPN for years. Surfshark makes connecting to their virtual private network, or VPN, super simple with their app, which takes care of setting up all the details of the connection for you. Their iPad app even works well on my new Apple Vision Pro. Just select which country and location you want to connect to, or let it pick the best option for you. Then all your data across all your apps is encrypted straight to Surfshark, so your connection is safe and secure. A VPN is also a handy tool if you want to access the internet as if you're in a different country. This can help you get to the streaming content you want, or even find cheaper international flights. And now, if you use the link in the description at surfshark.deals/Eric Welander, you'll get an extra 3 months free with your subscription. Thanks so much to Surfshark for keeping my connection secure and supporting my channel by sponsoring this video. In order to save time during setup, you probably want to keep your network name and password the same as your existing Wi-Fi network. I know that this is not as secure as changing the password, but pretty much all your smart home devices will just work with the existing network name and password once the new Wi-Fi system is in place. Speaking of that new tech, unless you can wire Ethernet through your entire home, you want to think about investing in a mesh network system, at least if you have more than one room and your place is bigger than, let's say, 600 square feet. Mesh systems do a much better job enhancing the Wi-Fi signal in hard to reach areas of your home and just outside of it. Now, let's say you're just getting into all this and this is your first mesh system, and maybe you have less than 40 devices on your Wi-Fi network. Well, entry-level prices for mesh systems start around $250. And the easiest option that I've tried in this category is Eero. I set my parents and in-laws up with Eero a number of years ago, and I haven't heard of any issues. And while I haven't tried their latest system myself, the Eero 6 Plus looks great on paper, and you can get a 2-pack to cover up to a 1,200 square foot home for around $240. But if you're into smart home tech, you probably want the added ports and features of the Eero Pro 6e for a little bit more money. Now, let's kick it up a notch. If you have more smart home gadgets and maybe more people living with you, or your existing system is just getting old and feeling slow, or maybe you want faster internet speeds above 1,000 megabits per second to fuel your new MacBook or iPad, or you're getting into network attached storage and you just want fast file transfer speeds for files or computer backups or video surveillance footage. Now, maybe you're in this category, but your mesh network system that you already have just feels a little bit sluggish. And if you're experiencing slow performance without any Wi-Fi dead zones, let's say, you might just have too many access points in your home. It's easy to get sold on the idea that more is better and to give your home too many mesh access points, especially if your home is less than, let's say, 1,800 square feet and you have 3 mesh routers. Try going down to 2 before upgrading to a new system. As you're looking at potential options in this higher end mesh category, look out for 10 gigabit Ethernet ports. These enable file transfer speeds of up to 10,000 megabits per second, and 2.5 gigabit Ethernet is similar, but only 2.5 times the speed of standard Ethernet, but it's also still a huge upgrade. Also look for the number of Wi-Fi radios and support for things like dedicated backhaul connections. These are signs that the units have capacity to handle lots of connections, which you'll need in a smart home. But if you look at systems like the Eero Pro 7 or the Netgear Orbi 970 at the time of recording this video, they are very expensive, especially if you need more than 2 access points. And they're also all-in-one systems where your router, Wi-Fi, and Ethernet switching are all combined into one unit, which means that someday you'll need to upgrade most or all of your system in order to take advantage of new technology. Also, as you get more wired devices like bridges and hubs for your smart home, you can add an unmanaged switch to any of these access points, but going beyond 24 to 30 wired devices can be a struggle in these scenarios in my experience. You also have limited or no ways to run PoE power or power over Ethernet to cameras or other smart devices without adding extra PoE injectors or a special PoE switch. This is all bringing me to another level of prosumer networking like Ubiquiti's Unify system. These systems often cost less than high-end mesh systems, let's say between $1,000 and $1,500. And that's because it's a modular system, so you can upgrade the system gradually over time. I bought my initial Unify setup in 2022 and upgraded it with an additional switch in 2023, and it's been rock solid. In this setup, you buy a central cloud gateway, or basically router, and that manages your connection to the internet, and then you buy Wi-Fi access points to provide your wireless connection and additional managed network switches. Let's say a new Wi-Fi standard comes out in the future and you do want to upgrade to it. You can simply upgrade your Wi-Fi access points, or even just one of those, and keep everything else in place. Well, there are products like the Unify 6 extender to enhance Wi-Fi signal further away. It seems the real intention of the Unify system is that most of your access points are hardwired and powered with power over Ethernet. If you have home Ethernet wiring, or you can find a way to run even just a single cable between floors, that's probably all you need. But just keep this in mind if you don't want to or have no way to run Ethernet in your home. You might want to look back at the mesh networking options. Now, in recent years, Unify has tried to move down market with cheaper cloud gateway alternatives, and I've heard mixed reports of some people loving them and others not so happy with their reliability. I think you're probably still best, if you're going into the Unify system, to get the Unify Dream Machine Pro or something similar that's a rack-mounted solution that has the horsepower to carry you for years. And that's why I rate this system as starting at about $1,000, but you can certainly spec it out for less. You can save money like I did by buying a rack from somewhere other than Unify. And you can always start by just sticking your Dream Machine Pro on a shelf in your closet like I did. Now, once you get it set up, Unify's dashboard gives you it seems like millions of controls for creating all kinds of different Wi-Fi networks and analyzing your traffic data to your heart's content. But this can be confusing and a lot to take on if you aren't wanting to fiddle with it. Well, potentially more expensive high-end mesh networking systems seem to be more set it and forget it than Unify. And that's also where things like Eero's PoE system look interesting to me, but it appears to be more oriented for installers than doing it yourself. If you want to see my initial review of my Unify system, I have that video linked somewhere here on the screen, as well as a video YouTube thinks you'll like from my channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Thanks again so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.